Assalamu alaikum viewers. मैं Dr. Fozia Gulab, Assistant Professor at IOBM Education Department. I'm happy to be with you once again for this podcast. And for our guest today is Professor Dr. Ashar Johnson Khokhar. Dr. Ashar is head of the Department of Education at Forman Christian College, a chartered university, Lahore. Our topic that we are going to discuss or talk about today is very important. And I believe that this topic is the need of the time that we as educators talk on this topic. I hope you will agree with me that peace and harmony, the ultimate aim of education, is very important that we as educators talk on this topic. So we have invited Dr. Ashar Khokhar to share his expertise, his experiences, his knowledge with us on the said topic. So welcome Dr. Ashar to this show, and we are happy to have you. And I hope our viewers are going to benefit from your experience, from your knowledge. So I would like you to begin with your what your understanding about peace and harmony, and how do you relate it with education?
Thank you, Dr. Fozia, for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be here and to be part of this podcast. Uh, this is true that as teachers, whether we are teacher educators or we are teachers in classrooms, of course, classrooms are both in the university, in teacher education institution, or in schools, or whether they are not teacher educators but other students in other departments. So the teachers, they somehow the other, or one way or the other, they keep working with students or keep working with other stakeholders and engaging with them, cultivating peace in different ways, right? For example, in school settings, peace, the teachers are trying to develop the habits of, let's say, social justice, the ideas of their not to resort to bullying, not to resort to violence, and to use peaceful means to resolve conflict in the classrooms, in school settings, because that is the school going age is where the conflict is visible, and the students are prone to resort to violence in school, in higher secondary school and higher secondary schools or colleges, what we call it here. So that is an important stage where teachers work with students and they try to resolve and they try to role model also, because they're also working with other teachers in schools, their colleagues, the administration. There is conflict everywhere, all the time, 24/7. There is conflict, whether it is work life, whether it is social life, whether it is religious life or family life. So the teachers keep working on them. The teacher educators in teacher education institution, when they are preparing students to teach, let's say, social sciences, languages, हमारे यहाँ we have English, Urdu, Sindhi might be, or some other languages, then geography, history, social studies, all these subjects. The content that is chosen that has lots of elements of conflict. For example, in our social studies and history and geography, there are topics such as Pakistan independence movement, and there are references which to highlight the Pakistan movement and the contribution of the political leadership and the religious leadership into the Pakistan movement. They have to portray or present the another group as an enemy group. So that is how to go around this idea of who is the friend or us and who is the enemy or the other. And that is where the peace comes. That's where peace is part of this activity. So when they're teaching how to teach English or social studies or social sciences subjects, they actually are trying to also cultivate this idea of how to use this content to develop peace values, to cultivate peace culture in the classrooms within. Yes, and the teachers, so the university teachers who are teaching other disciplines, sciences, humanities, and social sciences, and others, they will also be doing similar. For example, if it is political science or sociology or some other mass communication, they might be working around social, how to, for example, mass communications students might be learning what we call media literacy. This is what we should be teaching to our teacher educators also, so that they can educate our students in schools, in classrooms, how to read a media post, how to interpret, how to verify the information or the content. That is important, because they are the ones who are quickly influenced by any particular fashion trend, what we call trends in social media. So that is because they are the ones who form trends, so shape trends. I I hardly go on like any post on Facebook or LinkedIn, but these youngsters, they keep liking thousands of posts every day, and those becomes trend at the end of the day or at the end of the week or month or maybe year. So how to read and what to like, what to dislike, or where to stay neutral, so those are the things that has to be taught in classrooms, and the teachers, and this idea how to translate this information to students, it's part of, should be part of teacher education curriculum. And I'm sure that's what we the universities will be doing, working, or the teacher education departments will be working on, to develop media literacy in the future teachers.
Okay, right. So, Dr. Asha, we were talking about like peace and harmony. So, like, see, why should we talk about it? And why should we relate it, or why should we concerned about inculcating these values in our students, school going students?
Hmm.
Because normally, what I have observed, the focus of parents as well as teachers or administration in the school is on teaching of content, right? As you were mentioning, history, geography, Urdu, English, science, all that. Nobody bothers about, that's my observation,
Hmm.
right? I have not seen people being concerned about their children or students learning about peace, about harmony, about honesty, faithfulness. So our session today, our like episode for podcast is on peace and harmony. So I would like you to tell, like, why are you or me or other educators concerned about it? No, what are the reasons? What has brought us to this point in saying that this has to be ultimate aim of education? Right?
So the goal of education in all societies throughout the ages have been the development of a society. So whether it has been the let's say primitive societies, so the smaller groups, they were also trying to develop them, establish themselves around water resources. And when the society grew, became organized, they're also doing similar things, trying to establish themselves around resources, food, water, safety, and all that. Um, but the ultimate goal, the always thought was of education, of teaching, whether it is formal education or non-formal, informal education, was protection from danger. So earlier the danger was animals, wild animals, but now that concept has is not confined to wild animals, because the wild animals are already confined in their what we call safari parks, or in their what we call lands which are preserved for them. But now the dangers are different. We have conflicts where there is violence, where there are deaths, where there is famine. um, I mean, we have Sudan, we have Gaza, we have Palestine. So all these incidents where people are killing other people and the weapons are being used. Um, so how to so the state would always like to have they would like to focus on education as a source or the tool to develop socially, economically. Now um, if we look at the education policy documents, so if we create what Wordle, and of all the key ideas, the words which are there in education policies, so the words or the most frequently used vocabulary or the phrases will be about economic development. There will be few mentions of social development, social justice, peace values or ethical values, or similar to these. Um, so and that has resulted into teacher education programs as well. So teacher education programs are also focused on teaching the content, and that is visible in our schools as well. The teachers are teaching because they want students to get good marks, so they're not looking at the content, what it is, and how to read it, how to interpret it. That's where the teacher's role come, and that's where um, this is unfortunate that parents, the schools here, whether it is private sector or public sector, they haven't engaged with the communities as they should have been. So their engagement or disconnect with the community has also contributed to this what we call disconnection between the schooling and the community. The schooling is only for a job, for better prospectus of economic prosperity and development of the family or the individuals or the country. So so the state doesn't focus on, state doesn't translate into teacher education programs, and the teachers who are into classroom, they do not translate into the classroom teaching practices and the pedagogies and the assessments. So that's why we as teachers, we should be familiar what is happening and how to make it part of the teaching, because the conflict is no more what we see used to be in the past. We are no longer fighting with weapons. We are fighting on multiple platforms. We have social media. So social media is where most of the youth fight with others. So we have bullying. So earlier the bullying was on campus, and we could see that that resulted in violence on campus. But now that bullying has um, it has gone out of the campus limits or the its territorial domain. It has moved into a social domain, or what we call social media platforms. So now there is media bullying or social media bullying, different platforms where students bully each other. And that is where the teachers come, that how to read, how to, so that is, and it's not only the teachers, but I think the society or the state should also work on educating the parents as well. The key stakeholders, parents and the families are a key stakeholder. So if to some extent the parents are informed, they are told about this, they can also work with the children.
So, can you suggest some, what are different ways that we can help teachers understand that they need to focus on some values which are maybe the need of our society, or how can we educate the parents? So,
Since there are multiple stakeholders, so each stakeholder needs to use a certain set of strategies from the federal government in Pakistan, the provincial governments, or if you look at the world, then of course we could say the state or the government, and then we have schools, and then we have teachers, then we have the school administration, then parents, or maybe community. So if I begin with the state, so the state has to ensure that they put in the education policy document, curriculum documents, the emphasis on the social, emotional learning and development. That's why these days, especially in COVID times, social emotional learning became a very hot topic. Everyone was going after learning about what is social emotional learning. There were so many courses which were created during this time, and a lot of teachers participated in even our university. We also collaborated with with the United Nations affiliated organization, and we offered social emotional learning course for teachers, school teachers, and that was during COVID times. The purpose was that this time, which is everyone is not in schools, there is very little interaction. So how could teachers in online settings work with students? And but so that was the state, where the state is looking at the policy documents and the guidelines for, because the guidelines come from the state, whether it is the teachers, whether it is the schools, whether it is the students. So the state is supposed, that is the strategy. And then the other tool that the state has, the strategy the state could use is to ensure that if they are creating a program for teachers, which is they have, I mean, all over the world, there are teacher education programs. Now, how to translate those policies into concrete steps through teacher education program? Could be through a certain course, or maybe integrating into a certain maybe module, or maybe internship or something. So that is another way the state could, the strategy that state could use to at its end. So if we come to the next stakeholder, which is the teachers, which is the university or the teacher education program places. It could be a teacher education college or departments like yours and mine. Then, of course, we are looking at the teacher education program. So we are teaching social sciences subjects, teaching of English and science and maths and all those. We are integrating these elements of social justice awareness into our pedagogic part of the course, so that we are also communicating this information or the knowledge to the future teachers, that the pedagogy is not about bringing teaching aids, preparing charts, or using multimedia, but the pedagogy is interacting, engaging with students at different levels. One is the learning level, which will be assessed. The other one is their social emotional development and the growth, because that is what the schools are supposed to be doing. They are supposed to be, that's what the state all over the world is doing, holistic development. So holistic development it happens in schools, and the teachers are the key player in it. So that's where the the teacher education institutions or the universities come, where they, as they are teaching them, training them, educating them to teach different subjects, they're also equipping them with the knowledge and skills to bring in these elements, to include these elements into their classroom teaching strategies, and not focus on what we call content-based strategies, but look at holistic developments of social emotional learning, social elements of social justice, social awareness, ethical values, social values. So those elements are to be part of, for example, if you look at our English and Urdu textbooks, so all the stories are, whether they are religious or non-religious, the stories about something, each story has a certain social message. So it goes with other countries. I have analyzed India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh English and Urdu and social study textbooks. So if I compare the textbooks of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, each text which is there has a social message, which is about social harmony, social justice, community living together, differences. There is concept of inclusivity in terms of there are different kinds of people, different religions, different what we call different races, and how these could live together. So those messages are already there in the textbook, but the teacher education institution, they need to make aware of the future teachers to focus on these messages as well, rather than focusing on teaching reading, writing, and grammar. Right? So it seems if our teachers are not, they are unable to cultivate or integrate this into the teaching pedagogies or the practices. So there is disconnection between what happens in a teacher education college and what happens in classroom. If the teacher education college is doing it, teachers are not doing, there might be a problem in the school. But if it is not happening in teacher education places, institutions, universities, then there is a problem here in the teacher education. So this stakeholder has to look at this, that they make it part of it. The next stakeholder is the schools. So they have a lot of they can use multiple strategies. They can ask teachers, for example, some of the schools have what they call life skills. So they have introduced the idea of life skills, where they ask them, okay, what are you doing? What was happening in your surrounding? Where did you go? Did you participate in social activity? Did you visit this? Did you participate in what we call these days sustainability campaign, something like that? So they are teaching them, they are trying to develop the social skills. But that is not done in many schools. Most of the schools are still content focused schools. The teaching strategies used by teachers, they are focused on content. They're not focusing on the holistic development, social, emotional values of those students. So those areas remain neglected. So the schools can ask or make sure that this is what they should be doing, and when they are maybe evaluating their performance, maybe yearly or maybe after a couple of years, whatever the evaluation cycle is, then they should include this in the evaluation as well. So whether the teacher was doing it in the school, because then only a graduate who has come out of the school could become a productive citizen of the country. Economically, yes, we can make a lot of money, but again, with money, if there is no social justice sense, there is no sense of accepting the differences, there is no awareness how to live with others, how to accept others, how to accept the differences that is visible around me, or the differences that are visible around, then that is the school where this was not happening. So that is the school administration. Teachers, of course, they need to interpret this English, because in our country, English and Urdu are compulsory subjects. And as I said, the English to the textbooks, all stories are social messages, religious messages. So the teacher has to focus on those messages as well, rather than focusing on reading, writing, and listening, speaking skills. So so that is what the teachers could use. But another thing that schools and teachers could use is engaging with the community, the parents, because each school is surrounded by a certain group. It might be a religious group, it might be ethnic group, right? So they need to interact with them and make sure that the school teachers and the administration is in kind of continuous communication or conversation with the community elders, and trying to make them part of the what we call holistic development of the students. Because the teachers they are going to focus more on content. So they need community to also, if they want to focus on holistic development, then they need community actually. They can't do it on their own. Content, yes, they don't need community. But for holistic development, social emotional values, they need community. Without it, that cannot be happen. So that is for the teachers, the parents also, because without parents, teachers cannot achieve much in terms of their social and emotional growth and the values and ethics.
Great. So, like, what I have understood, and I think the message that you want to give to the teachers is like, we talk about holistic development of students, but then it has to be materialized in the schools. And other important thing that you have mentioned, like whatever we teach, whatever content we teach, so teachers should not be teaching it at the superficial level, right? Especially languages, especially social studies, and others also, science and all. Like they must get into the message that is given through that, then only like peace or harmony. Because you are right, like we all have studied from the same school system, and even we work on textbooks and all. So textbooks of all the subjects, they do contain messages. But what happens? Those messages are not given to the
Given to
student,
students.
right? Students are only told question answers, fill in the blanks, multiple choice, like without understanding the meaning of that text. So, what I have understood and what I believe you are trying to say is like teachers need to concentrate on the message which is given in the text together with some factual knowledge. Like, we are not saying that there shouldn't be any factual knowledge. There has to be factual knowledge, there has to be some skills. In fact, their skills have to be taught. But then the values which we talk about, say we are saying peace, harmony, respect, even honesty, and everything, all the values, like those values are hidden in the text, which contains knowledge and even the skills also. So what teachers have to bring that out for the students. And then secondly, you also said like it's not, teachers can't achieve that purpose of education without the support of the parents. So which means like it's not only like parent teacher meeting. Do you think that's enough to give that message to parents? Come on, because in our context, only parent-teacher meetings are
Parent
held,
teacher meetings
right?
there.
That may be once a year or twice after every 6 months. So, do you think if you are talking about parents' contribution in bringing the holistic development of the child, so normally what I have observed, and you know the system over here also in our country, normally parents are not allowed to meet the teacher. It is said like without the permission of administration, parents cannot, and it gets so difficult to get administration permission to meet a teacher for parents. So like if you are saying parents have to be, and I believe like you are saying it very strongly that parents have to be, so then how it doesn't happen, right? And how can, and I mean, schools or parents, sometimes parents say they have no times, they don't come for parent teacher meeting, which is after 6 months. And the focus of parent teacher meeting is also normally on learning of the content. It's normally on their results,
The feedback is always
feedback on academics, and sometimes some teachers do talk about the behavior also.
Yes,
Right?
that's true.
Some teachers talk about the behavior, but then I have not seen any actions to be taken to improve that behavior. Teachers may talk about the behavior, and if teacher is saying your child is ill mannered, and parents will say yes, he is ill mannered, and then nothing happens.
Nothing else.
Right? So then what happens? Sometimes children keep fighting within themselves. There is no inner peace. Because see, teachers are also saying no, you should excel in academics. Parents, child, I have not seen like teachers or parents who are passionate about bringing peace in the child, in the student, so that students, they accept their strengths, they accept their weaknesses. So like, would you like to share a little more about like how can parents be involved? Because see, we are worried as educators, we are worried because there is lots of conflict. People are not, our students are not at peace within themselves, they are not at peace with others. I believe they have not seen people living in peace, right?
That could, and
So they have not seen the surroundings all the time, fighting all the time, competition, and competition also which is not healthy.
help.
So you know what impact that has on the child. I mean, what suggestions? Who will recognize? Who will provide support? Is it teacher? Is it school or parents?
Of course, when we talk about peace, we always talk about positive peace, which is absence of any kind of physical violence or physical conflict where people are killing each other or hurting each other, while that is negative peace. But positive peace is where there is peace within an individual, where the person is at peace with himself or herself. So that is what should be the objective of any education system or any teacher, and teachers should be focusing on this particular element as well along with the content. So I'm not saying, I'm sure you're also agreeing to this point, that we're not saying that we should not be teaching them content, or teachers should not focus on content, focus more on their social emotional development. The parents, I think there is a dilemma in our in countries, Pakistan, in countries like Pakistan, which is because of the economic and social disparity that we have seen in this part of the world, and many countries like Pakistan, which have been colonized for a longer period of time, and where the colonizers, they created a certain social structures, because they created different classes. If you look at Pakistan, we have what we call different groups. Some of the groups were closer to the British, so they got all kinds of facilities. They got land, they got political, social, job advantages, and there were other group and they didn't have it. So that has been part of our history, but um, we have not been able to change or make any dent in that the system that was established by the British, of this socio-economic and cultural classes that were created by them. So that has led to what we see here in our country, which is parents are, even the private schools, I don't think that in private schools parents are allowed to come and be part of the maybe a meeting where teachers are discussing what is happening in school and the students' performance, or maybe different activities in a school. If they're, let's say, if they're organizing certain workshop on holistic development or social emotional learning or ethical values, if they're planning a certain event or series of events, then I do not see that the schools are asking, okay, let us invite parents and ask them how do their children behave at home, and let's ask, and then we will, of course, parents may not have that knowledge how to interpret that, but they at least can share what is happening at home, and then it is up to the experts, which is the teachers and the administration, to interpret that data and make certain what we call in these days data based solutions or decisions, where they have the data from the parents and then they are making certain choices about maybe a certain program or certain set of activities in schools. And our schools, they even for example, if you look at other countries, the developed countries, then the children who are in school, in high school especially, they usually work on the weekends. They might be working on certain shop for a couple of hours, maybe few hours, and they earn some pocket money for themselves. They want to buy a phone, they might buy a phone with the money they have bought, or maybe a laptop, or maybe something that they want to buy. So in that way, the parents don't discourage them, don't work. But here, because of those structures created by the colonizers, the British, it is considered as if the school going child is working and the parents are kind of middle income, belong to middle income. It is considered as the parents are not paying attention to the child. They're not paying money to the child to as his pocket money. That's why he or she is working. So that is also one of the reason that many, we actually, that we do not encourage our school going children to, if they want to work, they can work. Of course, there is another reason that the companies or the kind of economic structures that we have, they don't have certain openings for such age group. They do not allow school going or the school age children, maybe 15 to 18 or 19, to work at McDonald's or some other things or some other shops. There is no concept of part-time jobs in these shops or supermarkets. They always have longer working hours, so which is difficult for students. So that is because of the social structure that we have. So the parent teacher, this is one way that the school can engage with parents to get data from them, to plan certain set of activities, focusing on the values development, ethical development, social awareness. right? These days we are talking about sustainability. Then how to dispose of the garbage, which is, or what to eat, what is sustainable eating habits, and so that they can start developing those eating habits, and within few years time there will be a change in society, because when they are going to grow older, when they are going to be what we call into their what should I call it, when they're going to work or working as full time, then they will be using those skills actually, how to dispose of, how to have the healthy, sustainable eating habits, where to buy things which are sustainable. So this will contribute to the sustainability and other aspects of um, this planet, or preservation or protection of this planet, the water resources, the natural resources. So that is one way of doing it. Now, once they have it, then it is up to the teachers, how to, and of course, in other countries, some developed countries, they also have what they call volunteering opportunities for parents. So parents, they can volunteer for a day or two in a month. They can spend, they can work with the teacher in the classroom. So they can they become as a sports staff, and then they can, but then again there is a societal issue. So if the school allows a parent to come and work as, then the parents might be thinking what other children are going to think, about the parents of other children will think that he or she is working in school on a certain a number of days in as volunteers. So they might think, oh, the school might be paying them. So that kind of impressions or kind of ideas might be putting off parents as well, might be schools to have these, or to initiate such kind of activities or take such initiatives in the schools as well. So that is what the schools, most of this, it's actually the schools and the teachers, because government cannot see what teachers are doing, which they should be doing. The government should be giving certain guidelines to the schools to monitor teachers. So teachers, even if they're writing report on the students' behavior, but that is composed of, let's say, 3 adjectives, 4 adjectives, 2 or 3 adverbs, that's it. So they won't explain those behaviors. So that is what the teachers and the schools need to do, that they have kind of complete report about students' non-academic performance. One is they focus on academic performance, math, science, physics, so many marks, this is the grade, this is the standing in the class. But when it comes to non-academic performance, there are few adjectives or few adverbs. So they don't have any detailed report on that. So that they also have to think of how to generate such kind of reports and give it to students, to the parents. Because parents then, of course, can use it and work with the children. But then we can also see that there is a very high level of illiteracy. It's a huge number of parents who cannot read and write. So there's the other side of the story. If the schools are doing, if the parents cannot read, even they cannot understand the vocabulary which is used by the teachers, that is another problem. How to make, then again the schools and the teachers come where they are meeting, they are explaining to them that is what is happening. That is what we are doing, and that is a change that we have seen in the child. That's a positive change, that's a negative change.
I mean, this is very good, something that you said, like maybe parents can contribute in the school life, maybe once a week, once in a month, whenever like they feel like. Schools should open their doors for the parents to be part of that school community. Also, I liked when you said like parents can come sit in the classroom and then listen to what teachers are talking about. Like it is ideal, but I don't know whether we can have all those practices in our context or not. I also liked what you said in the academic report, academics and non-academics. And both may have the same weightage. No, so people, the student, parents, teachers, they will understand that academic is important, and together with it non-academics is. So in that way, all the children will also be encouraged to take part in co-curricular activities, and through those only I believe they will learn all those values of peace, of harmony, of solidarity, of acceptance. All those values will be learned through co-curricular activities. So we can see all that, but then I know we have so many problems also in our country. There are like huge classrooms, teachers are burdened with teaching subjects, parents are not educated, they don't follow up with their child's growth. Even teachers don't own the children at times. Like teachers may say, okay, this one, the child learns all this from home or the area where he lives, all that. So what normally happens, teachers blame parents, and
Parents.
parents keep blaming the
Schools
school
and the
or
teachers.
teachers for all that.
And the
So
schools also focus on the parents wants the children to learn content. That's it.
yes, and teachers also. So I think in all that scenario, what maybe we have come up with our discussion today is maybe schools may have a special wing for the well-being of the children. No, social, emotional well-being, physical well-being, they have at least sports and all
Sports
that.
activities.
But then emotionally, if child is suffering, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I have not seen any school providing help to the student through professional assistance. So maybe some professional assistance for children who are emotionally suffering, or who may have those, symptoms which really needs proper concentration of experts and all that. So thank you, Dr. Ashar, for giving us your time, and thank you very much for briefing our audience on this important topic. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.